everyone, I'm Jules from WhatCulture.com and I'm here today with young Ben, because today Ben has been playing a little game that you might have heard of called Persona 5. Now Ben, I'm just going to jump straight in there, both feet.
Yep.
How is it?
Allow me to use 2 expletives immediately.
Okay.
I'm so f***ing happy that this game is back in my f***ing life.
Good.
And it's so good. I'm worried though.
Why are you worried?
Because I'm worried that people like you, who don't really know what Persona is.
No, I've never played any of the Persona ones, so...
The Persona games are so good, and I think they would be appreciated and loved by so many, but I'm so worried that they're going to fly under everyone's radar.
But why have they flown under my radar so far?
Because you're an oblivious fool, Jules. But
that's true.
Not necessarily your fault. I have noticed a rampant absence of Persona 5's presence at recent Sony press conferences.
Right.
Bearing in mind it's an exclusive.
Yeah.
And it's huge in Japan, absolutely huge, and it's been growing in the West ever since Persona 4 Golden really was released, which was a remaster of Persona 4 that came out in 2008 on PS2, and Persona 4 Golden came out in 2012. So it's been a long old wait, nearly 10 years since Persona 4 came out. And this has been delayed again and again. It was initially announced for PS3.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they are still following through with the PS3 version, but it's now coming out on PS4 as well.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, do you want to know what this game is?
Well, yeah, because from what I can see, or what you've shown me in the past, is that it's a game that's very, very style-based. And...
Persona 5 in particular.
Yeah.
But the basic premise of a Persona game is that, and I might kind of butcher it here, so you're going to have to bear with me, but it usually follows a group of school kids that are at high school in Japan somewhere, and they discover through various means that they have powers inside themselves called personas, which is sort of their inner selves made manifest, but they can only access them sort of in a special world, for example. So in Persona 4, there's the place is called the TV world, where they discover that they can actually go into televisions.
That's cool.
And then they can access these personas that have powers and stuff like that. There's usually an overarching narrative, obviously, about there's a big bad that you've got to get to, and you save various people along the way, and they might join you, that kind of stuff. But that's just that element of it. It's all about the social links, is what they call it in these games, with the friendships you make with people. Okay. And you level up your social links in order to make your personas more powerful, that kind of stuff. And you can craft personas by combining personas, and you unlock more personas in this other world, if you will. But all of this has to be done while juggling your life as a student. Right. So there's an in-game calendar and clock that goes by, and you go to school. You have to do your tests and answer questions at school. Then you have an allotted amount of time after school where you have to decide: do I go to the library and study to level up my knowledge, which will then allow me to enter into more complicated relationships with other people that need that knowledge to get there, or do I go to the batting cages to level up something else, or do I go to the cinema to spend some time with a friend or a romantic interest, that kind of stuff, or do I go to a part-time job and make some money? And it's weird.
That sounds so in-depth.
This is why it's so hard to sell, because I think I've done a terrible job of explaining it, and I think if I had that explained to me, I think that game sounds rubbish and boring.
Well, the thing is that you're meant to be able to, like, I used to work in sales, and I was always told that you should always try and condense your argument down into an elevator pitch. You've got 2 minutes with somebody, you've got to try and sum it up in like 2 sentences max. So from what you've just told me, it's a Japanese dating simulator meets Pokemon meets where you battle enemies with the power of depression and anxiety.
Pretty much. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
But let's talk.
That sounds amazing. I would gladly play that.
Specifically about Persona 5. Now, a lot of people will be describing this as stylish. Yeah. Which I think is the word. I'm going to have to go to a thesaurus for the full review. But there are so many, I showed you some footage earlier, as you said, there's so much obsolete and unnecessary animation that happens. Just little things like the border of when people are talking, there's a border around the outside. It's all animated. It's all moving all the time. It's beautiful. I played the game with the lights off last night. And when one of the animations happened, because the real sort of color scheme of this particular one is red. Previously,
I noticed they've got like
yellow,
red outlines.
But it's red in this one because it's quite a dark theme to go with the game. Okay. And it was just like just being bombarded by colours of reds and blacks and massive shapes and outlines, and when you cancel out of a dialogue option, it gets crumpled down like a piece of paper and thrown away. Like, it's just, everything is so slick.
So love has gone into this game.
I would say so, yeah. The battling as well, just you saw that too.
Oh, they hold up their like health like that, don't they?
They hold up their
So
health in the
like
corner like a rap sheet.
Yeah.
When you go to a shop and you try to buy something, that person's model will like spin around. So like the doctor, for example, will spin around and her legs will be up on the desk or whatever, but it will just be her faint blue outline while the rest of the stuff is around it and stuff. So it's just, there's so much stuff like that. It's madness.
It seems to be a very considered game. Like, there's just so much thought gone into every single aspect of it. But the question that I really want to ask you, because I have never played this, would I be able to just pick this up and play it?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't need to know any of the backstory of any of the characters, or do they reference other people?
Much like Final Fantasy, each series is its own entry.
Okay.
Unlike Final Fantasy, they take place in the same universe, and at most there'll be a crossover of maybe you'll spot an Easter egg. So this one's set in Tokyo, and unlike Persona 4, where it was set in a very sleepy sort of rural town called Inaba, this one is, very tight, compact. You actually get on the subway system to go to school, and you have to change subway trains. You have to go up some steps and then exit the station, go around the corner, go down some steps, enter the station again, get on the subway. And when you're on the subway, you'll get an opportunity to read a book, if you have a book, which again will
helps
also level up. It's all about fitting this stuff in. One thing
that's cool. I really like the sound of that.
It's just like it's so dense, but it does such a brilliant job so far, because I played about 10 hours of it. It does such a brilliant job.
Yeah, and he's only had it for one day.
It's important to me. I took a day off work. It does such a fantastic job of introducing each little bit to you as time progresses. It can be quite annoying, I imagine, for fans who know how this works. Like, it's the equivalent of the TV world from Persona 4. We know what that is, but you still then got to sit there for 2 hours worth of game of them going, what is this place? I don't understand. But it's necessary.
Yeah.
It needs to, it's far more accessible than the other ones. I've played Persona 3 as well, and that one was quite hard to get into, in my opinion anyway. And yeah, it just slowly introduces new things to you, but there's loads of stuff that's different. Once you get let loose after about 6 or 7 hours, and it's still quite tightly throttled even at that point, in terms of, right, school's finished, what do you want to do?
Okay.
Because, for the first few hours, it's like, I should go home. I should get some rest. I should go to the equivalent of the TV world. I don't want to mention specifics.
Right, okay.
The theme is thievery and crime, and you're already an outcast at school as a transfer student as soon as you arrive, so you start to fall in with a perceived bad crowd, but it turns out they're misunderstood as well, and it's all about learning about them. And the equivalent of the TV world is sort of pitches you as phantom thieves, is what you're called, and you've got to steal the object of the bad person's desire by working your way through the dungeons and getting up to the top floor.
Phantom Thief sounds like the best sort of title that you could ever give yourself, really.
Well, you're all wearing cool masks and you all have cool nicknames for each other.
Oh man, that's cool.
You can now take cover. The cover system's a bit wonky in my opinion, but you can use it to flip between cover, and then when an enemy comes towards you, you can ambush them. You can still do the same thing by running up in the previous games and just pressing a button to hit them before they hit you, which then initiates the battle.
So it's still a battle system that's based around sort of traditional JRPG
it's turn-based,
stuff.
but there is a real-world element to it as well.
I love games that do that.
You will see the enemy, but then when you hit them, they'll turn into whatever it is that you're fighting. So they're called shadows, and it could be anything.
Because I hate games that have like random encounter stuff where the screen. I don't like that sort of stuff.
Right.
Okay, so should we do some quick fire questions then?
Go on.
Okay, so story, difficult or accessible?
Accessible gets started very quickly and makes you give a crap almost instantly.
Okay, favourite bit so far that is spoiler free?
Probably, being let loose in the open world for the first time after finally getting a handle on what was happening, the basic structure of my surroundings, because that's a problem in a lot of these games, is learning where everything is, and it's just so beautiful, all of it. Important thing, you can now talk, when you knock down enemies, previously you could do an all-out attack where you just all mash into them and beat the crap out of them. This time you get an option to talk to them. Because it turns out the shadows don't want to die, because you've all got your guns. You all walk up and it's called a hold up.
Right.
And you're all standing there like that looking really cool. And you can talk to them and basically say, join me as a persona.
Right.
If you don't have them before, kind of like catching Pokemon.
Awesome. Or die.
Then you have to enter into a dialogue battle basically with them and choose the right responses to get them to join you.
Man.
If not, they'll start fighting again, or you can just demand money, demand an item, or you can just do an all-out attack and beat the hell out of them.
I tell you what, this game sounds, and from what you've shown me, looks so cool that I'm almost in the same camp as you without even playing it as to how has people not played this? How have people not?
I think I've done a terrible job of explaining it. I'm hoping the accompanying footage over the top of our discussion will help people, but that is my main concern, as I said at the start, is that it's difficult to sell people on it because it's such a weird concept, and it's so good.
The only final question that I've got then to ask you is, do you think that it's a perfect game, and would you recommend it?
I will have to play more. The review will be coming along with the embargo in a couple of weeks'
Sure.
time. But currently, I have the issues I have with it are so small that I felt like an asshole writing them down.
Really? That just is testament of a great game then, really, isn't it?
It's just a game that I think people who have any interest in JRPGs, or even any interest in just looking at the footage and thinking, hey, this looks cool, you just play it. Just play it, because it's so good. Every time I play, I just keep getting blown away by more and more silly little things that they've added.
I have to say, Ben, I have not seen you this animated, this passionate, verging on the point of anger that people haven't played it so far. And that's Persona 5. I've been Jules, he's definitely been Ben. And for our review that's going to be coming out after the embargo is lifted, make sure that you stay tuned to What Culture Gaming.